all the way to the rim, and he finishes with the left hand. Deep three, Baker, and one for bonus distance.
Humble, confident.
Baker, the big shot taker, man, just ice in his veins.
Ian just has like a resolve that's tremendous.
For NM State star senior Ian Baker, sports were always a big part of his life when growing up in Washington, D.C. A young star in the basketball court and the football field, Baker comes from a big family full of athletes, which led to a competitive household growing up.
We had a tight household. I grew up with 5 older brothers, a single mother. We all played sports at some point in our lives. Most of us played basketball and football. We all played football before we even played basketball. That was like pretty much our first love, especially growing up in the neighborhood we grew up in. Most of our friends played football. I mean, I think the whole time of me playing football, I always knew that I could play basketball because my older brothers was playing it. But I think around, I would have to say, 5th grade or so, I knew that I can probably do something with basketball more than I could with football. When I first attended high school in Jacksonville, Florida, my sophomore year, and it was crazy because the year prior to that, I was only about, I don't know, 5'9", 5'10" maybe, and then the next year I grew to about 6 feet, 6'1". I got a little bit stronger and I transferred to a school down in Jacksonville. And just out of nowhere, I just felt like a better player. I started getting, recruited by small schools at first, and then I just got better as I was there. So at that time, I realized, yeah, I know I could play Division I basketball.
A first-team All-State performer at Arlington Country Day High School, the recruiting process wasn't easy for Baker, who originally committed to play for Providence and head coach Ed Cooley.
It was a crazy ride just to even get here. I just remember when I was originally supposed to go to Providence, that summer of me trying to prepare myself to go there, I ended up tearing my ACL going into that summer. I told the coaches that I tore my ACL, and I was also going through, trying to get cleared by the clearinghouse. So long story short, once I tore my ACL and was deemed a non-qualified by the NCAA, the Providence pretty much told me they don't need me no more. So for that first semester of school, I was just pretty much at home rehabbing my knee. And once December came here, Coach Marvin Menzies, he called me and he told me he knew my situation, and he was told me he can get me in school. And at that time, I was like out of options. It was either here or going to a JUCO, so I was all for it.
Baker stepped foot in the NM State campus and made the most of his opportunity, helping contribute to the Aggies' success right away.
For him not to go to Providence, Ian just came here with a chip on his shoulder, was just open to a new place, came with us with open arms, just wanted to learn and wanted to get better, and he progressed to what he is right now.
He had an injury at the time, which I think, gave some people some concern, but he's battled through it. Hasn't really shown any signs of it really these last few years. And hopefully going into this last year, I think we do have the player that Providence thought that they were going to get.
It's crazy. I always thought that I would go to school somewhere close to my house, if not in my hometown somewhere. But, everything happened for a reason. And, I went through that crazy situation with Providence, to end up here. And it's just been a blessing ever since. I'm glad that I came here.
After playing in 19 games as a freshman, NM State guard Ian Baker enjoyed a breakout sophomore year, starting in 33 games and showing a knack for making big shots, helping him earn the nickname Baker, the Big Shot Taker.
I think I hit one game winner prior to coming to college in my life, and I don't know, I just think I'm just comfortable in those situations. I'm willing to live with the results, whether I miss or make the shot, I'm willing to live with it. So I don't know where that stuff comes from, but it just kind of happens.
Baker, the big shot taker, man, just ice in his veins. All the guys call him ice. He always wants the big shot, make or miss. He wants the ball in his hands, and he'll live with the consequences, positive or negative. You always want to go to war with a guy like that.
His nickname is Ice, so we know that he has ice in his veins, and we know that he puts in the time in the gym, and he deserves that last shot, and we expect him to hit it every time.
And he's a cool customer, and doesn't let a lot of things faze him in his entire life, not just basketball. He's very laid back kind of kid, And that personality lends itself to him playing how he does. He's always smooth, he's under control, he's a very steady basketball player.
When we see that he's not fazed, you know, in times of adversity or when it's clutch moments and you know, the game's on the line, he's not fazed, and that helps us. So, you know, we believe that his calm, cool, and collectiveness is what really helps him get through it.
Most of the time, I just try to lead by example. Everybody don't need to be, you know, told something. Sometimes they just need to see it with their own eyes. So, you know, leading by example is probably the, you know, the best example I can give my team.
You know, Ian's a quiet kid, keeps to himself, he's very mellow. It really helps him in a lot of phases of basketball because he is very steady and a lot of things don't get to him. But at the same time, that also can be a bit of a weakness as far as getting out of his shell and leading others and talking to other players in the team. And I think this fall in particular, he's been tremendous. I really think he's kind of taken that on, and that's probably been his biggest area of growth.
I just think now Ian has really blossomed, and you know, it's kind of like almost an extension of the coaching staff out there on the court.
Last year was probably his first year of really being kind of a guy, and then now this year he kind of is the guy. So I think that progression for him is coming at a really good pace for himself. Now he just needs to kind of take advantage of this final chapter.
The final chapter for Baker is a big one, both team-wise and individually. Baker is coming off an off-season where he tested the NBA draft waters, declaring for the draft without an agent before removing his name from the draft process.
I went into it just trying to pretty much get my name out there a little bit more. You know, obviously we had Pascal on our team, so, you know, he was on a couple draft boards and everybody knew that he'll get drafted. So, you know, I kind of just wanted to, you know, go off his wave a little bit and just put my name out there and see what I can get out of it. I mean, the good thing is that I learned a lot from it, so I'm glad I did it.
I think he got some very encouraging news, and then he also got some things that he knows he needs to work on. So hopefully this last year will be him kind of cleaning all that up to give himself the best chance he can 8 months from now.
You know, he got feedback and got a lot of things he was told he needed to work on, and he set goals for himself, and I think that's what's just driving him this season.
Everybody pretty much told me you got to be more of a leader. You know, the point guard is like the most important position on the court, so when you're out there, you got to lead your team. Your team's going to feed off the energy you give off. So, you know, being the best leader I can be probably helped me be the most successful I can be.
New Mexico State Aggie Profiles is brought to you by Pepsi, White Sands Federal Credit Union, Route 66, and by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo and you, together we'll go far. After 3 strong years, which has included 2 NCAA tournament appearances, Baker is back for one final year and a chance at redemption after losing in the conference tourney championship just 1 season ago.
Ian's the one that we're kind of playing for at this point as far as a guy that this is his last shot, and the way last season ended, I think left a bitter taste in everybody's mouth, and we got to kind of get that back, and for Ian as well. We want to make sure it's a great senior year for him.
I would describe Ian's game as very polished, very patient, and I guess the biggest thing you could say is efficient.
He's a really tough player, hard-nosed. He don't let anybody get to him. He's a really good defender. He can really shoot the ball. He cares about his teammates.
I mean, I work hard on my game, so, you know, I always expect to be successful on the court. I'm satisfied with what I earned last year, but, you know, I always think I can do a little bit more.
Now a senior, Baker is the undeniable leader of the young Aggie squad, both on and off the court.
He's been through battle, he's been through all the tests and everything that we've kind of wanted to go through. He's been there, so we look to him to lead us.
With a lot of the changes we've made, I think a lot of guys, you know, inevitably kind of look to him to say, you know, is this okay kind of thing, and he's been totally bought into everything we're doing and kind of leading the charge as a trailblazer. So it's been great for them to kind of see someone else go right into this 2 feet in and hopefully kind of lead the charge for all of us.
From his peers aspect and from a coaching standpoint, I would say his leadership is his biggest quality that's changed over the course of his career.
He's learned to not only lead by example, but as well as be a vocal leader throughout practices, throughout games.
And, you know, just trying to make his teammates better and, I don't know, just make our team the best we can be.
After losing All-American Pascal Siakam to the NBA, Baker knows this is now his team. In close games late, you better believe the ball will be in Baker's hands.
You know, all the guys call him ice. He always wants the big shot, make or miss. You know, he wants the ball in his hands, and he'll live with the consequences, positive or negative. You always want to go to war with a guy like that.
He gets what he needs to get done, but he does it in a very quiet manner, I guess, if you want to call it that.
He's got a very strong will. I don't know if that's, you know, from having a lot of brothers and growing up in a house like that, but he has strong convictions in what he believes in and how he goes about things. And if he thinks, you know, we need to be doing things a certain way, he really feels that way. If he feels going into a game a certain way about how he can perform or how we can perform, he's very strong-willed in that. And I think that kind of goes to the rest of his life. I think he really believes he's a great basketball player, and that's kind of forced him through times where maybe other players might have doubted themselves or questioned themselves. Ian just has like a resolve that's tremendous.
Baker has proven to be a marksman from three-point range, connecting on 69 three-pointers last season, which was 12th most in a single season in program history.
One thing people always respect is shooting, and you know, I would say he's one of the better shooters that I've ever coached, and probably one of the better shooters that has been here at New Mexico State.
Every scout I talk to, I say the same thing. He shoots it at an NBA level. He scores at an NBA level. He's got a great demeanor and personality to be a professional basketball player. Because he's kind of bringing elements at both ends, I think he's ideal for a lot of professional teams.
You know, I think his most underrated aspect is the fact that he can shoot the ball. You know, I think he can shoot the ball at an NBA clip.
I think that my shooting will help me be successful in the NBA. Ball handling, my IQ. IQ may be the biggest thing that will help me excel on the NBA level right now.
That's the story of DC native and three-year Aggie starting point guard Ian Baker. More to come on the show when we return. This is Aggie Profiles.